China's real economic winter is approaching. Even first-tier cities have been affected, with physical store closures happening everywhere.
北京一线城市已经冷清到这种地步了。
Beijing feels so empty these days. It's already noon and there's not a single customer coming in for lunch. Where did everyone go? Back during the pandemic, we could still make over $270 a day. But now, if we manage to make just $130, it feels like a good day. I've been getting up before dawn to work every day, but in the end, I can't even make $100. Honestly, how are we supposed to keep this business going? My friend's shop is already closed. He spent over $10,000 to rent the place, and just the renovations alone cost $7,000. But after only 13 days of running it, he had to give up. He and his wife worked so hard every single day, but they barely made a few $dozen. The stress got to them. They were constantly in bad moods and arguing. In the end, they had no choice but to sublease the shop. But no one's interested, even after almost a month of trying to find someone to take it over. When my friend talked about it, his eyes were red. He almost cried. Now he's driving for a rideshare service and his wife is doing housekeeping jobs. They're both working so hard, but life's still tough. As for me, I'm barely hanging on, but I can't leave. My kid is still in school here, and transferring schools would be too complicated. I don't know when the restaurant business will bounce back to what it used to be.
也不知道餐饮行业什么时候才能恢复到以前的状态。
Similar situations are happening in other cities too. According to reports, all the physical stores in Foshan's Jinsha Wanda Plaza have closed down. The entire mall is now completely empty. A video also shows that Guoqiao City, the first ancient culture-themed street in Hainan, looks completely deserted. Even during the busy lunchtime, you can't see a single person around. Chongqing's Dadukou Yiji shopping center in what used to be a busy area has completely shut down now, and all the shops in Section B have moved out. It makes you wonder, where is China's real economy going? Not only shopping centers, but also many large clothing supermarket chains are closing down. Running a physical business is getting tougher and tougher, mainly because of the transparency of product prices, which makes consumers more cautious. They're also not spending on expensive items anymore, and with the high operational costs of physical stores compared to online shops, it's very hard for them to survive. Many businesses are being forced to close.
大家都听说了吧？前两天开封的
Just a couple of days ago, the Qiansheng Fashion Plaza in Kaifeng and another store in Shangchu both shut down, owing suppliers tens of millions. A friend of mine who's also a supplier told me his wholesale cost for clothes is $13.75, but he can only sell them for $13. How do you even keep a business running like that? Consumers these days have high expectations. They're always looking for top quality products at the lowest prices. It's just getting harder and harder to make a living.
谁都不愿意走到最后这一步。你说我说的对不对？
A lot of people online are saying they haven't been to a mall in ages. Why is that? Some think it's because of tighter budgets or just not having the time, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to the mismatch between income and rising prices. Even influencers with millions of fans can't help but complain about how ridiculous prices have gotten these days. I'm an influencer with over 2 million followers and my income is decent, or at least it should be. But every time I go to the mall and look at the prices, I feel like I can't afford to live anymore. It's like everyone else in the world is rich and I'm just a broke nobody. Yesterday, I wanted to buy a winter jacket. I picked a regular brand, thinking that with a 40% discount, it would be around $100 at most. But the salesperson smiled and said, "Sir, after the discount, it's $590. I just stood there stunned. For a jacket? Seriously? I turned around and walked right out. Then I figured I'd grab something to eat, so I went to this fried meat place endorsed by some celebrity. I ordered something small, but the server kept piling it on. I was like, no, just a little, but they still gave me a half a plate. Then the bill came, $11.80. Everything's just ridiculously expensive.
毁灭吧，真毁灭，活不起了。姐妹们，我想吐槽一下现在的物价。
Today, I went to the supermarket and saw some Satsuma mandarin, so I picked a small handful. When I went to pay, I couldn't believe it. It was $2.60. Can you believe it? Now Satsumas are going for $2.80 a kilogram. Oh my god, the prices have doubled compared to before. How did they get so high?
是只有我自己一个人觉得贵吗？
Everyone knows that during the pandemic, every industry was facing immense challenges. But now in Shenzhen, it's even tougher than it was during the pandemic. This is really surprising. First, it's becoming harder and harder to find work, and the unemployment rate is rising. Second, hotels are now filled with people who can't find jobs. Third, more and more people are carrying debt that they can't repay. Fourth, the competition pressure on all trades and industries is very serious. Car rental, delivery, and street stalls aren't easy to manage anymore. Fifth, the metro and street front shops are emptier by the day. Sixth, more young people are choosing not to get married or have children. Seventh, new cars and new homes in Shenzhen aren't selling, and real estate developers and car dealerships are declaring bankruptcy one after another. Eighth, foreclosures and bad assets are piling up. We all thought that the hardest days of the pandemic were behind us and that things would only get better from here. But now, life seems to be getting harder every day, more difficult. What's causing this? And with such a tough environment, cases of startup failures and business closures are becoming increasingly common. In this tough economic climate, if you're thinking about opening a physical store, you really need to be careful. Even in places like Shanghai, storefronts are closing down one after another. Some people invested in shops and ended up drowning in debt, losing everything, even their families. Others borrowed money to start a business, only to have creditors knocking at their door for repayment. My mom kept calling today, demanding to know how much I actually owe. Before, she only knew I had some debts, but didn't know the exact amount. To put her mind at ease, I had to lie and say it was just over 1 million RMB. Even that is a huge amount for them. Now that debt collectors are showing up, she knows it's more than just 1 million. She's been crying on the phone all day, asking me what we're going to do. I feel so miserable, so heartbroken, powerless in the face of her pain. In reality, I'm over 20 million in debt. It's something my parents never dreamed. My mom is a hard-working, brave, capable rural woman. She's always been my role model. I know she's finding it hard to accept what's happening, and I never wanted her to know, because I was once the source of pride for them. Now, facing my kids, I feel so helpless, so broken, so guilty, because I traded their stable life for what I thought was my career and dreams. I don't know how my life got to this point. I admit my failure. What's happening to me? I'll find a way to deal with it, and I'll keep trying to get better. It's said that there are nearly 8.5 million individuals with poor credit in the country based on online reports. But this data is just an estimate from last year. Even if you meet the criteria for dishonesty, it doesn't necessarily get you on the blacklist. The number of people restricted from high consumption might already be over 10 million. My 6 stores all closed down, leaving me with over 3 million in debt. Now I'm selling my house to pay it off. Before, each of the 6 stores brought in over 10 million in monthly revenue. Together, they could make over 600 million a year. Now, I can't sleep at night, wondering where my next opportunity will come from. In recent years, there's been a growing trend of businesses shutting down at the end of the year. Recently, in just the past month, nearly 26 clothing factory owners in Zhejiang closed their doors. These companies appeared successful, but there were huge financial problems underneath the surface. Some closed down during lunch, and even their bosses couldn't be reached. Experts say this trend is due to overexpansion. Many businesses look strong, but they were hiding a lot of financial stress. Even big teams from companies like Baidu and Geely were misled by this fake boom. Ultimately, the millions of dollars invested ended up going down the drain. Let alone with ordinary ventures, cases like opening a milk tea shop where it's packed during the market study, but they end up losing tens of thousands when you open, are unfortunately common. These are all microcosms of the rapidly changing economic environment in China.